Hi, I'm Rob,
And I'm Angie.
and together we are TwinFinity.
We are twin flames in union, here to do a question and answer video.
We've been struggling with our introduction because it feels so much like we're doing one of our story videos, and that's not the spiel that we would give. It's been a little while.
It's been a long while. I don't know how we ever used to do videos every week. Now we can barely keep up doing a video a month. It's a struggle. Our lives are busy.
It's also summertime. It's the 5th of July, 2021. And it's been a nice summer. I'm wearing green because I'm thinking summer. We've just had the United States just had their 4th of July. We've just had our 1st of July up here in Canada. So, and it's been hot. We've had record-breaking heat.
Too hot.
I don't even own any
Torture
records, and I
hot.
still broke them. All I have is CDs.
It's going to be a rough video. I'm telling you right now. Be prepared, get your popcorn, or just turn it off right now if you don't want to be tortured with bad jokes.
I'll behave.
No, you won't. Come on, tell the truth.
Actually, this is another kind of a celebration day for me too.
Oh, you're going to tell that story too?
I'm going to tell that story.
Tell that story to everybody.
Because I'm not really disappointed about my past. To keep the long story really short, if I would have stayed in my first marriage, today would have been my 35th anniversary. And that I've been kind of a little bit celebrating that because it's not like I'm ashamed of my past. Yes, it kind of is a reminder of shattered dreams and everything else that I had back then. But also the Garth Brooks song, Unanswered Prayers. If that life would have stayed, then the life I have now wouldn't exist. And so when I really wanted that life to continue on by hook or crook or some means, and it just didn't turn out that way, well, through it all, I've ended up better overall, better off, feeling great about life now, and possibly quite better than I ever could have back then with that life. So, yeah, I'm not celebrating that it came to an end, but I'm celebrating the opportunities that came from the ending of that relationship. And I'm also remembering a bunch of great things that happened during it too. So, it's a little bit difficult to understand, except for the people that have had a relationship break down and end, but yet they still look back once in a while and say, that wasn't the worst of times. It was just a time that couldn't continue. So, yeah, a little bit of celebrating going on today.
Happy 35th anniversary.
Thanks. Now, our 4th anniversary is coming up here shortly.
Yes, our 4th wedding anniversary.
Yes.
Yes. Yay. But that's a whole other topic.
Yes, it is.
We won't get into that. So, yes, question and answer. We haven't done an official question and answer video for 2 months because our last video, well, I guess it was sort of a question and answer video. We talked about union, which 2 people had asked us questions on that, but we didn't go through our regular list of questions. So we're kind of remiss on question and answer videos lately.
We've been remiss on question and answer videos for about a year.
That's true. Every month I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
And especially this summer, because I'm really starting to try to enjoy this summer. We're just, in our part of the world anyway, we're coming out of the pandemic. Restrictions are coming off. Don't have to mask up anymore. We've got over 70% of our provincial population now has at least a first COVID shot, and I think we are at about 40% now that have had dual shots. So things are finally starting to look a lot brighter, and it's in time for early summer. So it's just a very positive time, and not the videos aren't positive. There's just so many things to do to catch up on.
Just to give you an example, last Saturday, not just a couple days ago, but last Saturday, it was a really hot day. Rob went with a friend and climbed a crazy big mountain. Well, not big, but a hard mountain.
Very steep. It was only I call it a short medium mountain. We only gained about 800 meters that day, and I say only 800 meters is a lot to gain. It's a lot to gain when it's also 85 degrees outside.
Yes.
And it's very steep.
So crazy hot weather, Rob goes and climbs a mountain. And then this past Saturday, he played not 1, not 2, but 3 rounds of golf, all walking. 34.4 kilometers, or how many miles?
34.4 kilometers, roughly, I think that works out to about 21 or 22 miles, something like that. It's just, 21 miles.
This is why Rob loves summer, because he's a crazy adventurer. I don't go on these long adventures because my body does not do those kinds of things.
Roughly 42,000 steps.
I feel tired just... In fact, this is a twin flame thing. We're totally off on a tangent already, and we'll get to questions in a moment. But just a total example of how twin flames work. Rob can do 3 rounds of golf, all walking, walk all those steps and all those miles, and come home and feel fine. He comes home and I'm the one that feels sore and my body hurts. What? This is welcome to Twin Flame Land. I feel like I got the ripped off deal though. He drinks alcohol and I feel sick. I don't even drink. And I get the to feel sick. It's wrong. It's just wrong.
I had a can of apple cider that day.
I didn't feel that.
See? Doesn't always work that way.
No, it doesn't.
But there's no reason that she should have been feeling sore after I did 3 rounds of golf.
Welcome to the Twin Flame Connection. Now, on that note, let's get to some questions.
We do have questions.
That's so long.
That's one thing that happens whether we are doing lots of videos or not very many videos is we never really run out of material. There's always questions. Okay, first question. I have an important question about twin flames for you. After the healing of both chaser and runner, does the love between them become less normal, more like the love of friends, and does it become calm? And then, does the eagerness and passion of physical attraction really disappear? Or does the love between them become more and more stronger than before? That's kind of a good question. First of all, after the healing of both chaser and runner, does the love between them become, well, actually, from a chaser's point of view, I spent some time being the chaser in this relationship.
Yes.
The love doesn't really ever disappear. Sometimes you have to compartmentalize it, but it sort of like closing the lid on a jar of peanut butter. The scent of the peanut butter disappears, but as soon as you're back in touch with that person, the lid comes off. It still smells all like perfectly good peanut butter.
Rob, to use a food analogy.
Still, the peanut butter smell is just all there. It's all wafty, ready to go. So the love doesn't really...
That's hilarious.
The love just doesn't really disappear. Now, of course, if you're getting more attention into the relationship, of course it's going to feel closer.
And of course the dog found her squeaky toy the
yes.
minute we do a video.
The dog found the squeaky toy.
That's what the dog has to play with all day long. Doesn't need that toy. Yeah, now you're going to make me chase you, aren't you?
See, we got a runner and a chaser.
I get to be the chaser for a minute.
Eat that. Okay, I got the dog toy. Now the dog's got to figure out what I did with it.
Yeah. So, I am going to give a little opposite. I think that the love doesn't change, but the energy changes. When the runner and the chaser aren't doing that dynamic, that means they are more balanced. Because if you're not running, nor are you chasing, you're in the now and you're just being, which means you're in a more balanced place, right? So if you're more balanced, then the connection is more balanced. So there isn't as much what's the actual words they use? Passion,
Eagerness.
physical attraction. Again, I'm only speaking from our connection. That isn't as intense, but it's because you're not as intense. When there's nobody running, there's nobody chasing, there's nobody trying to get anything, you can just be in the connection. So the connection is calmer. It doesn't mean it's worse or not as exciting. At least, again, I'm only talking from my perspective. I like it better because the connection is more balanced. When each of you is more balanced, then the connection is in a better place. Yes, it's not that crazy high like when you first fall in love and you're like, oh my God, this person is like my whole world. It's not that, but it's still pretty amazing. It's better in a sense. I don't feel like I'm explaining it well.
I think you did actually very well.
Okay. I mean, we don't like, just like we shared in the beginning, you can go climb a mountain for 8 hours and I'm home by myself doing my thing. You can go golfing for however many hours that was, probably more than 12, because you left at 6 or something in the morning. No, 5 in the morning. You didn't come home till 8 or something at night. So I mean, I've had more than 12 hours without him, and when he comes home, I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's not like that at all. But it's like, hey, how was your day? And, you know, you still have the excitement, but it's not like we're all over each other and are glued together. But it's because we see each other every day.
Yes, that's true.
When our connection was first new and there was still no runner chaser, it wasn't like that. The magnet was very strong and we were like glued together, and it was really hard to go to work.
It did. It did seem insurmountable sometimes to be apart.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah.
Lots of Band-Aid moment in that.
Yes, lots of skin ripping apart energetically because it was. But or the love between them becomes more and more stronger than before. It becomes stronger in a healthier way. When there's the runner chaser, it's an intense love, but it's not a strong love. Like, it's not a love that can withstand challenges, if you know what I mean. It's more of a romantic, intense bubble love. But in my opinion, it's better to have, when you're in the balance place, you have a strong love that can withstand the hard days as well as the good days.
The word I have in my mind, and it's not really that great of a word, is mature.
Yes, it's a mature love. And that's really, you know, this is the thing that a lot of people get hooked up on in the twin flame world, is they want that sort of fairy tale romance where it's always like you're swept off your feet and you have, you know, the pitter-patter butterfly heartbeat stuff. And that's not really what the connection is about. It's about a deep, real love, not about infatuation love. And I think that's where the runner-chaser stuff comes from, is more the infatuation stuff. And when you move past that, and like I keep saying, that you have the balance, it is a much more mature love.
And now I'm going to go contradict that a little.
Okay.
How many hugs and kisses do you get in a day?
Oh, well, okay. In fact, one day just recently, probably in the last 2 weeks.
You were trying to keep track.
I was, and I failed. I should have counted. I wanted to count one day how many times he hugs and kisses me in a day. In fact,
she's standing at the kitchen sink having a drink of water. I walk up behind her and go grab.
Yes, constantly.
That would count as one. Now, if it was grab and kiss, that would be 2.
And before we started this video, we were laughing because he is still more the chaser and I'm still more the runner, even though we're like more balanced now. But I get overwhelmed easily, so too many hugs in a day, and I'm like, okay, that's enough. How many twin flames would want that, right? How many twin flames would be like, okay, I'll take more, give me all you want. But yes, that's true.
Apparently I have a dog.
Yes, you do. It's your turn. So, yes, it's not the same as when it's the infatuation of runner and chaser, but it is still pretty, like, I mean, we've shared before, we're in the middle of a grocery store giving each other a kiss, and we can be doing laundry together and like be hugging and kissing. Like, it doesn't stop, but it's better. I don't know.
I think that it just has more aspects and angles that function more or less at the same time.
Yeah.
If there's anything that seems to multitask, it's the different angles of our love.
Well, that's an interesting statement. If there's anything that multitasks, it's the different angles of our love.
Yes.
Wow.
It can be more mature and it can be more bubbly. It's just more, but it changes gears all the time.
Okay. That's an interesting statement.
She said it was going to be a rough video.
I told you. I warned you. Okay, this one has a lot of questions, and they're all for me. But I'm sure you'll interject too.
Oh, I'll probably throw some stuff in.
Yeah.
And why not?
Why not?
Are we ready?
We'll try.
I've been wanting to ask you these questions, Angie, and this may be triggering for anyone who is readings or listening. Being an empath, during these periods or moments when your receiver did not manage well with negative emotions like anger from others, did this affect your energy to invest in Rob and the shared mission? If so, how did you manage to go back to the emotions that brought you both together? How do you remember, or how did that negativity, how did you remember that the negativity was not you? How did you take it out from your body? In other words, how did you manage it or get rid of it or at least keep it away from you?
Yeah.
During these periods, did you, or where and how were you dealing with this negativity, and how did you protect your connection from it? Did that external negativity, when not well managed, lead you to close your heart so much that your ego would tell you that this connection didn't even exist, despite of it usually being your strongest truth? The person writing the question also commented, I found it harder to balance it, in other words, the negative energy, as I felt in some way that my own energy and all the work I had done for both of us was being threatened by that negativity. I tried to protect myself so hard, but I didn't manage to.
Yes, it takes practice.
So in other words, someone's saying, how did you see through and get through the negativity and manage to protect the connection, etc., etc.?
So I'm going to go question by question that they asked up here. So during the periods or moments when you received or did not manage well negative emotions like anger from others, did this ever affect your energy to invest in Rob and the shared mission? Absolutely. It still does. I'll be very honest. I don't think it matters how long you know you've been an empath and how long you know how to manage it and the tools. It's still, there's days where it's either a lot or you don't know it's happened to you or just life happens and then you go, oh yeah, that's not even mine. So it's a daily practice of learning and working through it.
I've observed Angie being empathic, and it happens all the time, constantly. It's not something that she can just turn off and turn on. It's not something that she has strong days of and weak days of. It is, or weekends of. Sorry. It's constant. So if something negative happens every day, it's going to affect her every day. If something positive happens every day, it's going to affect her every day. So it's a constant balancing act to try to keep negativity in a perspective, I would say. That's a three-dimensional way of describing it, but to keep it in a perspective so that it doesn't get in the way of everything else that she's trying to do.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, that's one of the reasons I've had to pull away from the twin flame community in some senses. I used to do so much stuff in the twin flame community. You know, on Facebook, there's lots of twin flame groups, lots of people asking questions. I used to just answer a lot of questions in different groups. But I found it was really affecting me on an empathic level because I'm so sensitive to other people's energy and because I've lived this journey and I know how hard it is. I would feel so much for other people that it would cause me to feel so drained and you know, the angst that you go through on this journey. Like, welcome to the journey. It's part of it. But I would feel that so much that I would get so drained and I wouldn't be able to be in our connection. So I had to make a choice. It was either I'm going to give a lot to other people or I'm going to give more to myself and us. And that's partly why I've just had to pull away a lot from, how much I used to do in the twin flame community. But some of the things that I do, like it says, how do you manage to go back into the emotions that brought you both together? And how did you remember the negativity was not you? Meditation is the biggest thing that I found. And even, it doesn't even have to be meditation. Like if you catch yourself and you're like, why am I feeling this? What is this? I will often, this is what I always do because this is where I find my own connection. But for you, it might be a different part of your body or it might not even be within your body. But I always put my hands here and go, is this mine? And then I'll get a yes or a no. It'll be just an instant knowing of, is this mine or not? If it's mine, then I work through it and I figure out, why is this mine? What am I feeling? What do I need to clear? What do I need to own? What do I need to heal? If I get a no that it's not mine, then I don't even need to know most of the times whose it is, because that's irrelevant, because it's not my job to clear it no matter whose it is. Even if it's his, it's not my job to clear that. So I will sometimes, but rarely, ask who is it. Most of the time, if I get a no that it's not mine, I will just clear it. And that's part of the next question is, how do you take it out of your body? There's multiple ways. Meditation, just ask it to be released. I often will ask Archangel Michael because he is sort of the protector and, his sword. So I will ask him to release it, or I will figure out what chakra of my body I'm feeling it most in and then clear that chakra. Or if I'm not sure if it's in one chakra or one part of my body, I'll just do a whole clearing of my chakras. Some people start top, go down. I like to start down, go up. I'll just see each chakra spinning. And I can feel, is it spinning slow? Is it spinning fast? Is it clogged? Is it open? And I will clear each chakra one by one and just go through them all the way up until I feel cleared, until whatever it was feels released. There's many different ways. You can do it like a vacuum. Sometimes I work because I'm connected with angels. I'll work with the angels and say, can you just vacuum this out of me? And I'll just sit there and let them do all the work. Sometimes I'm like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. And they'll just suck it out of me. Like, there's all sorts of neat ways. So whatever works for you. Showers are really good. Empaths really like water. So being in the water, it's great to have a shower and just ask that it be released. And then you can feel as the water is coming down, you feel it taking off whatever energy is on or in your body, and then feel it going down the drain and being released that way. Nature, again, walking in nature is a way to help clear it. So there's many, many ways. Do whatever works for you. You're being very demanding. Come on out. Up and down, up and down. Come lay down.
At least she asks to come up on the couch.
She does. 15 times a video. This is what we normally do our videos on the floor, but our fireplace right now has a whole bunch of stuff covered against it because we're
swapping out a whole whack load of furniture,
yes.
and we're just in that in between time.
Spirit.
We have all of the furniture that we're getting, and we still have all the furniture we had
that we still have to get rid of. Spirit, as if you watched our last video, we were showing about how Spirit has guided us to get rid of stuff and bring new stuff into the home to change the energy. We thought we were done. Now they're making us rearrange big furniture, and we're like, oh man, really? So yeah, our house is a bit of a chaotic place right now with furniture.
There's lots of places we've done videos in our house from. We had to find this spot to do the video from because it's one of the few places that isn't cluttered.
Yes. But when we do a video on the couch, then the dog wants to come on the couch. Then she wants to go off the couch. So...
And by the way, that was interesting how you talked about showers. I almost always, like maybe I'll miss once or twice a month, but I almost always end my day with a shower. I just have to do that just to feel like I'm ready to wash away the day and then be ready to go to sleep and get up for the next day.
And if you're not one, like I don't I prefer not to have a shower every day. So if you're one that doesn't shower every day, you can also have an energetic shower. Um, Gabrielle Bernstein teaches this. If you follow her work, you can literally just sit or lie down and have like an energy bath and feel white light, yellow light, whatever color light serves you best, and feel it coming down over your body and washing all through inside and outside your body. So it doesn't have to be a physical shower, it can be an energetic shower. So lots and lots and lots of different techniques you can use.
Soak your feet.
Yes, yes, soak your feet in Epsom salts, and then again, imagine the energy being released that way. And you don't even have to know all the time. Like sometimes we don't know what energy it is that we've picked up. We just know we've picked up something. So you can just ask that it be released if it's not yours. You don't need to analyze it, know all the details of what emotion it was, or because it might be multiple emotions. It might be many different things. So if it's not yours and it's not yours to clear, just allow yourself to release it. Don't hold on to it. There was another question here.
Uh,
Okay, we got to how to take it out of your body.
What about closing your heart to...
Oh, sorry.
So that your ego...
One above, though. How do you protect your connection from it?
From the negativity.
I don't at first because I don't know what's happening. And then I can be sometimes snarly with Rob, and then I'm like, ooh, sorry. And then I realize that's not even my stuff that I'm unhappy about. But what I will do then, once I know, like if I'm going into a place that's got a lot of energy, I will protect my body. I put a bubble around my body, and sometimes I forget until I'm like frazzled and like I can remember years ago we went to a concert and we were like not even at our seats yet, and it was just, you know what it's like in a concert hall. It's so busy and people everywhere and getting their drinks and getting their food, and they're all like, ah, and it's just too much for me. I finally was like, I remember I was snippy with you, and then I realized, oh wait, it's because I'm stressed of all the energy. So I forget still sometimes. So once I remembered though, I shield myself, I put my energy bubble around myself, and then I go, ah. And then what I even will sometimes do is practice reminding myself that my energy can go out. I'm still able to send happy, good vibes to other people, but their energy isn't going to come into me. It'll just bounce off of my shield and go back out. So it still, as I say, takes practice. Like, and why I'm saying that is don't feel like if, you know, you forget or you miss that you failed. It's a constant learning, a constant practice being an empath. It's a daily activity. It's like doing physical exercise. You have to keep doing it. Same with an empath. You have to keep using your tools. And some days you're going to forget. That's okay. But the easier it becomes to catch yourself and then go, oh, yes, I know what's happening. So, did the external negativity, when not well managed, leads you to close your heart?
So much that your ego would tell you that the connection didn't exist.
No. I don't think I've ever had that. I mean, I've had that in the beginning of our connection. My ego would tell me that, but it didn't really have anything to do with being an empath. It was just my ego being my ego, which I think is very common too. The ego will. I mean, we were in union for a year, and my ego would still be like, this is not real. There's no such thing as twin flames. You're making this all up. You're crazy. That's the ego. You gotta learn to just let the ego go. Okay, thanks for your opinion. Now I'm gonna move on with my life. But no, I never did have an experience where, because of being an empath, I had that. But it can certainly happen, because if you're picking up other people's feelings and they don't believe in this connection, then it might do that for you. But again, it's practicing those tools. And I would highly recommend find, out of all the tools I've listed and others, like there's many out there. You can Google empath and empathic tools and find all sorts of things, and just practice until you find the ones that work for you, and then make a daily habit of at least one, if not a few of those every single day that you practice, whether it's Epsom salts or a shower or meditation or clearing your energy or whatever. But the more you can make it a daily practice, the better off you will be, because it's got to be a regular habit to make it really beneficial, in my opinion. So I hope that helps. Hope that leaves you with more clarity and less questions. But if you have more questions, feel free to ask and we'll give more clarity. All right.
Actually, I'd like to also tackle that last bit of that question as well. You see, the ego is in my mind, is the first one to express negativity and doubt.
Yes.
But whenever a person is stubbornly attached to something, that's also the ego that's doing all this stubborn attachment. Unless, of course, a person is dealing with their actual truth. So it would seem to me that the ego would almost be contradicting itself if it was telling you to ignore your strongest truth. If you know something to be your strongest truth, that means you've embraced that truth. And therefore, usually the ego would tend to protect that. So negativity might cause you to question whether or not the angle of the truth is still there and still valid. But negativity, especially when you're dealing with something so, let's put it this way, positive as a twin flame connection, when you finally have found that, it's very, very hard to actually honestly let go of it, because your ego doesn't want to fail. So usually it's a different force other than ego that causes a person to try to ignore or let go of their twin flame connection. That's very, very disputable. I understand that.
But it's a good perspective.
If a person's ego is going to come into play, it's because they've got a lot of three-dimensionality. And so the ego is bound to be more comfortable as soon as you drop back into the 3D.
Yes.
So, yeah, when you're dealing, if your twin flame connection was your strongest mystery, then your ego would try to pick on it.
Yeah.
But if it's your strongest truth, then your ego would tend to protect it, because it's something you've already accepted.
Okay, I could see that both ways, but
yeah, actually, so can I.
The semantics.
I'm sure we'll get comments that'll help us with the semantics.
Okay.
Next question.
Yeah, I got itchy nose.
How about I?
Oh, it means I'm gonna kiss a fool.
Well done. How about I switch down to the last one? You just took a question, so if I go to that one.
Let's do it that way.
Okay, then we can go back to this one or this one. Question for you, Rob.
It's your turn, not my turn.
That would be me. Do you consider yourself awake? What does that term mean to you? Does one have to be intuitive or multidimensional to be awake?
This will be fun.
Well,
I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this.
The first thing I want to do is slightly confuse the question. I put down the clipboard. In one of my other videos that I did on my own,
I'll try to link it if I can figure out which one it is.
I talked directly about the difference between being awake and aware. Awareness is like having the knowledge.
I'm going to just pay attention to the time that I have to link it at. Sorry.
It's like awareness is like having knowledge, but you don't know how to apply it. When you are truly awake, you're able to, and I'm going to support that part because it's in the question. When you're truly awake, you're able to touch all the dimensions that are available to you. Now, we typically talk about third, fourth, and fifth dimension. If someone's got a sixth dimension out there that they can touch, that's just absolutely fantastic for them. I don't have that. So, in keeping to the line of the question. Does one have to be intuitive or multidimensional to be awake?
If you leave, you're going to want to come back.
I suppose one wouldn't know that they were awake if they didn't have something unusual or special in their skill sets, in their toolbox. If everything they had was just normal, then they could be very aware, very capable of talking about it without actually being able to practice it themselves. So that's what the term awake means to me, is being able to work with the full range of tools that are available to you, and those tools are not common tools to the average person. So yes,
that's an interesting definition.
Multidimensional or something special from the intuitive side, yes, I would think that you would have to have something unusual, something that has sprouted up that most people don't have. So, do I consider myself to be awake? I consider myself to be what I would call gently awake, and that could be because of the company I keep. I've got Angie beside me. I've got Angie here. We've got friends within the Twin Flame community that I cannot even touch their tools of capabilities. Their toolbox of capabilities is giant. I've got a little carry bag of tools in comparison. But at the same time, I don't want to demean what I have for gifts, because when I look at the average person and what they're willing to talk about what they have for gifts, I do quite well. I am quite happy with my level of gifts. My level of gifts tend to be a lot more relatable to the third and fourth dimension. I'm not really all that strong in the fifth dimension, except for when, say, I'm playing a card game or a dice game and I need to call up a dice or a card, and I just go poof, and I seem to be able to do it.
All the time.
She hates playing games with me.
Do.
Yep.
I'll say, I only need a 5 and a 2. That's the only combination that'll work to hit you. What does he get? A 5 and a 2.
While playing backgammon, which we don't play anymore because I kept on calling what I needed.
That's right.
It happened a little too often to just be casual luck.
No coincidence. Yeah.
So do I consider myself to be awake? Yes. But I'm actually very proud of the level of awakeness that I have, because I really do enjoy working with people who are strong in the 3D, working on their 4D and barely in their 5D, much like myself. And the tools that I have create the opportunity for me to really relate with those people and being able to help them with their growth. And then when they get really up and going with their growth, then I get to hand them off to people like Angie who are at the next levels. So I really I'm very happy with where I am at. If I grow further towards the 5-dimensional aspects of it, I will take what comes along. If I don't ever grow beyond where I'm at, it's a good place to be for me. It works.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because she's looking for her toy.
Yes, the dog is looking for her well-hidden toy.
She found it.
She found it.
Now, I would like to just add, you were saying you don't feel like you kind of are up to snuff sometimes compared to people like me, and yet people like me feel like I'm failing. Like, as I just explained, Rob can go climb a mountain in super hot weather. I can barely climb a mountain in normal weather, let alone super hot weather. I can't even be in super hot weather because I'm super sensitive. So if I was out in that kind of weather for even an hour, I would be all nauseous and my head would be spinning and I'd feel horrible. Rob can do that for 8 hours and come home and feel fine.
Well, it's just because I'm able to connect with nature. I'm able to connect with the earth, and atmospheric conditions like rain or extreme heat are just part of what that is, and I relate to it and I'm able to accept it, and it's just part of my gifts. I'm very, very connected to the earth.
That's my point. So you don't have to. So this is an example for your own twins. You might be thinking, well, my twin's not awake because they don't talk to spirits and they don't talk to angels and they can't see auras and they don't know anything about 5D and they don't understand multidimensionality. But that doesn't mean they're awake. Their awake might look just totally different than yours. Rob is incredibly awake because of his ability to connect with nature and connect with the earth in ways that I can't. He gets his energy from the earth. I mean, I love nature, don't get me wrong, but I can't do the things Rob does. And sometimes I feel completely inadequate to him. He's feeling inadequate because he doesn't measure up to my level of 5D.
I don't get to talk to angels and spirits and other people.
No, you don't get
that
to
aren't
be a
people
medium
anymore.
and talk to dead people, which I love. I love talking to dead people. I say that, I don't mean that offensively. If anybody takes that offensively, it's just my way of... I love talking to spirit because they're brilliant, the way they communicate. But again, what I'm saying is we all have our gifts, and you don't have to all have the same gifts as your twin flame in order to class them or you as awake. Each of us have different gifts, and sometimes one's strength is going to be the other's weakness, and sometimes the other's weakness is going to be the other's strength. So it's learning to honor those balances and not feel inadequate like we sometimes do. Like I'll say to Rob, God, I can't even imagine doing half of what you did today. Why do you have so much energy, and why can you just go do all these things? And then Spirit was the one recently that knocked on my little pouting party when I was like, why can't I have that stuff? Spirit was like, you have your own gifts. Be happy that you can talk to us, and you can talk to Spirit, and you can do these things. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So it's learning that just because we think somebody's not awake, it doesn't mean they're not awake. It's just they're not awake in the same way we are, or they don't have the same gifts we are.
Very true.
You're very awake. You just have very different gifts.
Between the two of us, we have a lot of the gifts
We
covered.
cover all the gifts. Well, not all the gifts, but we cover a lot of them, yes.
Yeah.
Some days I just wish I could be the super energetic golf 3 rounds in a day. I can barely do 1 round, and I'm like, oh, I'm done.
I'm walking around on grass all day. How can one run out of energy while walking around on grass all day?
We do.
Okay, I get it. It's one of my gifts.
It totally is.
I sleep well at night. Does that still count? It zapped energy from me somewhere.
Okay. I'll be happy with my gifts. You be happy with yours. Some days I just wish I had yours. Some days you wish I had mine.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
It would be fun to be able to relate to that firsthand, but I just have to accept it for face value.
Okay, so where are we going next, since we're jumbling questions today?
This one.
Okay.
Angie. That would
My
be
turn
you.
again.
You've always spoken about your angels and guides. Can you please explain how to go about communicating with the spirits?
Well, this actually ties in very well now, doesn't it?
I tend to, not that I do this very often, but I tend to pour my spirits out of the bottle into a little glass and sip it very gently, and usually get distracted and forget where I've left it and find it the next day.
Yes, you do.
That's how I connect with my spirits.
And once again, sometimes I feel envious because I can't drink because it makes me sick. I'll have 1 sip of Rob's drink and I'm like, okay, my stomach's all queasy now. I told you you'd want to come back up. You don't need an invite every time.
An invitation?
Yes, an invitation. Okay.
Shall I keep reading this question?
Yes, please.
How do you decipher
Between?
Wow, that's an abrev for between.
I usually do B/W, but B/N works too.
How do you decipher between guides from your own ego talk?
That's a great question.
I have no idea what that question just asked. I'm one of those cases where I was an atheist my entire life, and 5 years into this stereotypical TF relationship has forced me more or less onto spiritual awakening.
I love that.
So I'm clueless as to where to begin other than with meditations. Don't worry about the cluelessness. We all have been there.
Yep.
I want to heal from within rather than focusing on him or the outcome. But the concept is just way too abstract for me to integrate into my daily life. Welcome to that multidimensionality,
Yes.
compartmentalization, and multidimensionality. I feel desperate and I'm lost, wanting to progress, yet feeling stuck. Can you please shed some light on how I can heal in practical terms? Exactly. That's a tough one. That could be a whole hour
It
all
could
on its
be,
own.
yes. Are you going to read the last little tiny piece?
Yeah, this last bit here.
Yeah.
P.S. My twin's name is also Robert. Now watch out for us Robert creatures. We bring all sorts of chaos into one's life.
That is not a lie.
This is always fun when you get to read a question without having pre-read it.
So this question, incredibly synchronistic, even though we normally just go through the questions as they were asked in the order that they were asked, but Rob bounced around a bit, and that was perfect because this one ties so well into the answer of the last one. In that, so you're wanting to know, first of all, how to speak with angels and guides, which we can explain. But then you're saying, I don't know where to begin other than meditation. I want to heal rather than focus on him, but it's all way too abstract. So I'm going to address the abstract portion first, is the fact that your way of healing and your way of communicating and your way of working through things might not be talking to angels and guides if that doesn't come natural to you. And that's okay. Just like we said, Rob's much more the nature dude, and he has tons of abilities that I don't have, but it doesn't mean he's any less awake or aware or healed or anything than I am. He just has a different way. So go with what works for you. Don't try and force your way through thinking, well, if I'm and not that you've said it, but I'm interpreting that you think because you're the female energy or the feminine energy in this connection, you have to heal a certain way or you need to talk to angels and guides. And you don't. If that doesn't work for you, don't do it. There's lots of ways. But if you want to know how and it fits for you, well, I can't really explain how to because it happened for me. I didn't make it happen. But just sit. Just be. Like, get quiet as much as possible. I know people all meditate differently, but if you want to, hear those voices and be able to differentiate between them, because that's also what you're asking is how do you decipher between guides and your own ego. You have to get quiet because your ego is usually really loud and it's going to be meh, meh, meh. And it's usually not very nice. It's kind of naggy and it's negative often. Whereas your guides, your angels, spirits, they're often quiet, and that's why you have to get quiet in order to hear them. But they're also always loving. Their guidance is very gentle and kind. So you'll get to know after a while what's ego. I still, again, to go back to that other question, I still have trouble sometimes deciphering, is this just me making this up? Is this my ego or is this real? Like, even, I won't go into the whole details of this new furniture that we just got, but I was strongly guided on when to get it, how to let it go, because I had to surrender. Most people think surrender ends the minute you're in union. No, it does not. It's a practice that keeps on going. I had to surrender deeply in order for this stuff to come back to me, us. And it was something I really wanted. And I was being guided so strongly, but I had to know what guidance was my ego saying, oh, this is never going to happen, forget it, let it go. And spirit saying, no, hang on, do this, let it go, but believe, send energy to it. So it's a practice always, again, learning how to decipher what energy is what voice is what. But again, like I said, your ego is usually negative. It's usually loud. It's usually unkind, where spirit is always gentle, loving. Its spirit might be pushing, like they might, hey, like you really got to do this. Like sometimes spirit is like, I'm like, back off. I'll have to sometimes say that to spirit because they can push you. But it's always in love and gentleness. So getting quiet is the best way, and whatever that means for you, whether that's sitting and meditating quietly, that might be walking in nature, that might be sitting in nature, that might be being around water, that might be doing the dishes, whatever allows you to get out of the chattering mind and get into your heart, your soul, whatever aspect of you that helps you get centered. That's the biggest thing, is be centered in your inner being, and then the guidance will just naturally start to come. Do you have anything while I'm reading to make sure I answered all of this?
Well, I would almost like to scratch out the Angie and put the Rob, because there's a lot of this.
Hey, great. Give your perspective.
Because I got so much I can say here. Our video can't go too long. But as a person who spent a lot of my life very left brain, very 3D, I understand this ego talk concept.
Yes.
I was never an atheist, but I always wanted to have proof that anything that was a little bit weird was actually still real, just unusual.
I like how you said a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Like angels?
You see, even the question itself, there's a bit of the question here that has some ego built into it. But I'm going to go back up to, how do you decipher between guides and your own ego talk? Well, I'm going to say something that is not accurate completely for me, but it could be very accurate for where you would need to start. Let everything start out to just be ego talk. But you need two egos. One is the ego that is logical and rational and has all of its answers and is unquestionable. And your other ego, your alter ego, okay, is where you put all the things that just don't make sense to your regular ego. And you let those things that don't make sense to your regular ego live in your alter ego, which would be any little clues that come from spirit go into there because they don't make rational sense to you. And eventually you get a bank of alter ego that becomes unquestionably real, because there's just too much that's happened to write it all off as a dream or a fantasy or something that just isn't real. It becomes real because the bank of information that is ununderstood, where it came from, is too big to ignore. So therefore you develop a spot where anything that doesn't make sense to your regular ego can have a home in your alter ego.
I'm really glad you answered that, because I will be honest, I don't even really understand all that you just said, but I'm sure there's lots of people that will.
Because I don't get messages directly from spirit or from guides. I don't get those moments because maybe I don't slip into meditation enough. But I still do have many things in my life that come to me that I can't decipher. That they obviously didn't come from the third dimension, because it just doesn't work that way. So I've got a huge bank of stuff that I now just bring in, because whenever something hits, I've got a home. I've got a home for it.
And that also reminds me, I've only explained using my own gifts, because of course I'm sharing from my own perspective. But there's different, like there's clairaudience where you hear things. So I'm clairaudient, I'm clairvoyant, so I see things. But Rob is claircognizant. He just knows things. He doesn't even know how he knows. He always says to me, oh, it's a lucky guess. And I'm always like, no, it's not a lucky guess. It's your gift. Accept your gift. I'm always giving him heck because he just writes it off. Oh, it was a lucky guess. He just knows things. So guidance can come in all sorts of ways. It's learning to know which ways you receive it best. You might be claircognizant, you might be clairaudient, you might be clairsentient, clear feeling. So it's learning how you receive too.
One of the other portion of this question was, I'm one of those cases where I was an atheist for my entire life, and then 5 years into this, in brackets, stereotypical TF relationship. Stop right there. Question. Done for the moment. Your ego is your protector. A plus B equals C, the world's happy. Until A1 plus B2 equals C19, it doesn't add up. You get defensive. So
the ego gets
defensive. So I was an atheist most of my entire life, and then 5 years into this stereotypical TF relationship, right there, you're pounding it into a place where you can try to keep it happy because you don't have a place where you can call it a exciting, dynamic TF relationship. It's just a stereotypical DF or TF relationship because I don't know what else to call it, and I'm nervous about it.
The ego has to put it in a box.
The ego puts it into a box.
Right.
That's
good that you picked up on that.
You got to create that other alter ego happy box, so that the information as it's presented to you can live in that form and doesn't have to be degraded or bent into something that you understand. It can just remain a mystery. That's where your spiritual alter ego to your strong three-dimensional ego needs to come and be developed. You might have to be patient with it, because the word that comes to my mind is one of my favorite words. Acceptance.
Oh, I thought you were going to say patience, but you just said that before.
Acceptance is an important word to work towards, because when you can start to accept that you're getting information that you can't deal with on the ego side, then at least you acknowledged its existence, and then you can try to find a place to live. So this stereotypical TF relationship has forced me more or less, no, not completely, but not absolutely not either, onto a spiritual awakening.
I love how that's worded.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's just more no place for it to live. I'm clueless of where to begin other than meditations. You've got a place to start. If you've got a clue of where you'd like to try, start from there. Just to be a little cheeky about this, if meditations isn't your best place to start, at least through meditations you will be able to get clues from your guides as to what to do next, because all of a sudden something will happen that may feel more comfortable than meditations.
Right.
Maybe it will be a different style of meditations. I use walking meditation.
Yes.
I can go for a walk. I miss blocks at a time. All of a sudden I'm at a turning point where I got to turn around and go back, and I go, wow, how did I get here? I've been really lost now, haven't I? I've been lost in meditation. Hopefully I don't stand out in front of a bus sometime. Oh yeah, honk honk. Oh right, yeah, there's a bus over here. It's three-dimensional. I better get back in this 3D.
But that's also why you can climb mountains for so long, because you're in a whole different world. You're meditating.
Yeah, I could say it as dynamically as I've left the planet, even though I'm on a mountain that's on the planet. But I've left most of my realities behind.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Don't put meditation in a box that it has to be sitting in a room, either quietly or sitting with like a guided meditation. Meditation can be anything. Whatever helps you get into that mode or process ununderstandable or unlogical things.
I want to heal from within rather than focusing on him or the outcome, but the concept is just way too abstract. Yeah, that's tough for the left brain, the logical mind, to deal with abstract.
Yeah. And for the ego does not like abstract. It will fight it all the way.
And it's way too abstract for me to integrate into my daily life. Don't force it to have to be into your daily life. This is not a battle that gets beat into submission eventually by winning. This is a constant learning, and some days you learn very little, and some days you just can't get away from the lessons. So don't worry about the integration into your daily life as you start to find a happy place for the information that you don't necessarily understand. If it's got a place to live, again, that's what I keep going back to. Once that place to live has been established, it won't really affect your daily life. It's not going to bug you minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. It'll only jump up and say, "Oh, hi, you've got information that you don't know what to do with. Put it over here," and you'll put it there, and then you'll go on with your rest of your day. And at the end of the day, you might go for a meditation to recap anything that was incomprehensible to your regular ego. That'll be the time to come back out and review it. And if you don't understand it, you just put it back in there and save it for another day. Your meditation time will be your review time. Reviewing doesn't have to happen every minute. That is a skill set. Live your left brain three-dimensional life in its happy way during its times. Only worry about the stuff you don't understand, maybe during your meditation time. Give each their own time to be happy. Feeling stuck? I say in some ways I'm going to feel stuck for the rest of my life because there's always going to be some things I'm going to be questioning or wanting or wishing or whatever. But again, let's use that word acceptance. If you accept a lot of what you have, then, like I've just said with that last bit, it's not going to bother you or leave you feeling stuck all the time. Be where your feet are.
Yes, good advice.
Can you please shed some light on how I can heal? And it's got to be in practical terms, according to the words in the brackets that I see here. That's the left brain again screaming for its need to control. Yeah. I hope we said something that's going to help on this. I think I'm just about done. I love the question because a lot of what is in here I've had to do myself.
Yes.
Mr. Drill Sergeant planned my life out for 3 weeks down to the half hour that Angie first met. Has had to go through one heck of a lot of growth and figuring out what to do with it all over the past 23, 4 years.
It'll be 24 on July 25th.
No. You know, when it's 25 and the 25th and the 5th anniversary, that's a lot of fives.
That will be.
That'll be next year. See, I got a happy place to tuck that away in my mind. It's not even going to bother me. 24 years ago, that would have bothered the heck out of me. Someone would have said, "Oh, that's a bunch of fives," and I'd be saying, "So what? That adds up to 15. What's next?" You eventually find a happy place for all this information.
Yeah.
Angie's laughing because she knows what I've said is just the dead-on truth.
I wish we had recordings of the people we were when we first met. I mean, I'm very different too, but Rob still blows me away sometimes. I'm just sitting here listening to him answer a question, and I'm staring at him going, wow, look at you. Look how much you've changed. I mean, what I always called the old Rob from 24 years ago when we first met in July was a very different person than what's sitting beside me now. He was very much a drill sergeant. He had his food picked out every day of the week. Tuesdays, it was this cereal, this only. Could not stray from this kind of cereal. Tuesdays, we wore these clothes. I mean, his life was very rigid. Now you're incredibly different.
I still have 3 identical work shirts, and I wear them in order 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, some things just don't change, but you know.
I always know which work shirt is shirt number 1. It's got a little snag on it that I go, which one's got the snag? Okay, that's the one I'm wearing first. It's still there. I'm still all there.
Oh boy,
I just
I didn't know that.
She thinks I've changed so much.
Huh.
I've just added a bunch of whipped cream on top of it.
Because it's all the same shirts now. You just have 3 of them.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier. You don't have to pick what colors for what day.
It's the black and red shirt. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Just don't know which one.
Oh.
One's missing a little pin on the lapel.
Okay.
That's my number 3 shirt. There's still the hole from the lapel, so it looks kind of weird.
I think we should move on to the next question because you have me cry laughing right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Next question.
This is the last question on this page, by the way.
Yeah, we've just crossed over an hour, so we're doing.
Oh well, hey, how come our computer didn't tell us? Usually it goes dark on us when we cross over.
You adjusted it when we were going jumpy, so probably reset its time.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Just a guess.
Okay.
Not even a lucky one. It's just a guess. Says, hi guys, how do you explain the state of unconsciousness and insensitivity of the chaser during a time when they're doing their chasing? Does the feeling of the chaser return again once it's been turned off, I guess? And when?
I'm letting you answer that question.
Well,
you chaser, you.
Well, explain the state of unconsciousness and insensitivity. You see, runners...
That's pretty harsh words for the chaser.
Well, see,
I got in trouble just to say from a couple of our previous videos, there's somebody that's left quite a few comments that they don't like how the chaser gets all the bad rap. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't the one giving the bad rap here. I didn't ask this question. Just saying.
See, the runner and the chaser are both sometimes insensitive.
Oh, for sure.
But it's for different reasons that almost sound like the word ego again. It's about being protective of one's point of view. The chaser tends to have a bunch of stuff figured out. And
they think they do.
Well, they've got something figured out to the point that they think that it's important enough that the runner must know it. So stop running. I want to pin you down and nail you with this information.
But is it information or is it just energy sometimes?
We are twin flames, and this means that this is what's going to happen to us because this is what happens in the twin flame dynamic. There's going to be energy, and there's going to be bonding, and there's going to be love, and there's going to be romance, and there's going to be mirroring, which is going to blow them apart.
What if you don't even know your twin flames, like our situation, and you're still chasing? Then what is it?
I think for the sake of this discussion, I'm just throwing in the thought that they probably know that they're twin flames, because there's...
Okay, I'm going to throw in a harsh word that a lot of people aren't going to like. And it goes both ways. It's not just for the chaser. The runner has it too. It's called codependence. You are afraid of being alone. You are afraid of not having some sort of connection. So you chase and like, okay, we have to be together. I need your energy. I need you. I need something outside of me. And it's when you heal that codependent nature that the chaser and runner dynamic often goes away. And I am not at all just picking on the chaser because I was incredibly codependent and I was the runner in our relationship. I know it's usually opposite. It's usually the more dominant masculine energy, whether that's the person in a female body or not is irrelevant. You can be the more dominant and be more dominantly masculine and be in the female body and vice versa. But it's usually often it's the more masculine energy that is the runner and the more feminine energy that's the chaser. And even though we were in reverse, that's still the case. He had the more feminine energy in a sense back then. It was his feminine energy that was chasing and my masculine energy that was running. So just so we're understanding, the masculine energy is often the runner because they're, like this previous question, they're so stuck in their ego that none of this makes sense to them, and it's overwhelming to them because they don't understand it. They're like, why is there all this magic? What is this weird connection that my brain can't process and understand? And they're like, I want nothing to do with this because I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to my ego. My ego doesn't like it. I'm out of here. Or they have a lot of fear because they've had a lot of hurt and damage. That was also my case. Chasers, you can maybe explain more since you were the chaser.
We switched our roles back and forth because we both have a healthy dose of masculine and feminine energy within us, and it was almost like a point counterpoint. Like our masculine and feminine energies had two battles because we both had both of those energies and both still do. So that made one of us a chaser runner and the other one a runner chaser, but really not in any form of dominant way. Angie had lots of information to pass on to me about
later in our connection.
And even earlier on, there was angels all over the place.
Oh yes, there was.
And you would drop in some thoughts once in a while when you thought that I was capable of accepting it when I was nowhere near capable.
No.
I was capable of it.
You thought I was a wingnut.
There was some wingnutism going on there. Way back when.
Yes.
Before wingnutism started to chase me down in some respects, and I started to understand what was going on, which really created problems for me. Then my ego had to come out and protect me by dragging me back to stuff that I understood. So, but in the meanwhile, I still did strongly respect where Angie was, so I was like, well, hang on. We have a connection of some type here that we don't understand, but now you're running away from it. So wait a minute, come back. So I would be chaser, and then she would chase information my direction, and I would chase the wand of the connection back her direction, but then she would be running, but then I'd be running.
Good Lord.
It's
amazing this connection ever comes together, but they do. They do.
It's complex. It's very
complex.
At some point, usually someone's 95% the chaser, and the other person's 95% the runner. And that's usually when, at that point, that they get the labels stuck onto them, and then they lose the ability to see how many times that they actually somewhat flip-flop, depending upon who is trying to enforce information of some type, 3-dimensional or 5-dimensional, just to separate them, on the other person. So the insensitivities go both ways. The chaser has got something that they are not going to stop until they've communicated properly. The runner is usually the one saying, I got an idea what you want to tell me, and I am going to not want to hear that. I'm going to throw out all forms of communication. I'm going to ghost you and be insensitive back the other direction.
Right. So yes, they're both insensitive.
They're both being insensitive because they're both not taking not only the feelings, but the place of existence of the person that they're trying to chase into account. They're not being nice enough.
Yeah. So now, what are they asking is, like, when does that change?
Does the feeling of the chaser return again, and when? Especially if the chaser's been shut down. Does it ever return? Well, yeah. Usually the person that's been a chaser, if they have not accomplished their inner mission of accomplishing whatever their chase was supposed to accomplish, it's a hole in them. It's left. It's an effort not completed. So as soon as there's an opportunity to continue that again, the ego in its never-ending quest for being successful is going to try to complete that mission.
Yeah. until one or both of you start to heal what it is you're chasing and what it is you're running from, and learn to balance that within, the dance continues over and over and over. Even if one of you stops, though, and says, no, I'm no longer chasing, the hell with you. I mean, I have a friend that's still going through this journey, and she finally was just like, I'm done. Like, you want to go run, go ghost me. It's disrespectful, and I'm tired of it, and I won't tolerate it anymore. And finally, they switched roles. Then she was like, no, I'm done. And he's starting to come back going, wait a second, because they can feel your energy, right? They feel the change, even though you've not verbalized anything.
I was running, but I didn't want to actually run so far that we totally fell out of communication.
Right.
I just wanted to run far enough away to be safe.
Yes.
I didn't want to win anything by completely outrunning you. No. Just stay at a safe distance, please.
Yeah.
That's what a runner is saying.
Yeah.
They need a safe distance. They don't need all the distance that's possible.
Yeah. And the minute you leave completely, they're like, oh my God. And that's exactly what I used to do. Then I'd send him cards and notes and
because I'd say, okay,
apologies.
Bye.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Go. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to go.
Well, sure seemed like it.
Yeah. Welcome to Unhealed. So the more you heal, the more you then heal the connection. And then the dance stops.
It really is about healing. It's about allowing.
Yeah. And it's about finding your own connection within, your own self-worth within, because often, especially as the chaser, you're chasing that energy outside of yourself because you haven't connected with it inside. And when you finally connect with it inside, you don't need that other person. You don't need what you think they have for you that you can't live without. You realize you have it inside. Like my one friend kept saying, I'm a twin flame. Whether he is or not is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I'm the twin flame. I'm who I keep searching for. I don't need to chase it in him. I found it in me. And that's the trick. And same for the runner. They got to stop running from, because when they're running from the chaser, they're running from themselves. So it's, both people are really runners. They're just doing it in a different way. I don't know.
That's complex, boy. For people looking for solid singular definitions, we just said that doesn't exist. Sorry.
It totally exists. The chasers are chasing the other person because they're running from themselves. They're looking outward so they don't have to look within. The runner is running from the other person and running from themselves. So you're both runners. You're just, one's outwardly running and one's inwardly running.
When I was in biology, we did genetics, and genetics had something called a Punnett square. What Angie just described was more complex than a Punnett square. That was very well done. She's got it figured out.
I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not, but I'll take it. And on that note, we're at oh wow, this is our longest Q&A. We're at 118, or no, 118.
118.
Yes.
There's a bunch of 1s and 8s.
There was.
That 1 and 8 is 9. That sounds like completion.
Well done. Look at you and your numbers. All right, we're sorry we made this go so long.
There was just a whole lot there.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you get to when
you don't do a video for a while.
You don't do a video for a while, and there's a whole whackload of great questions. Sometimes you cherry pick the good ones. These were hard questions in some ways.
Yes, they were.
I'm exhausted. I just had supper, and I feel like I need to have supper again. Ice cream.
No.
Yes.
All right. He's going to go have ice cream. I'm going to upload a video.
It's almost 8:30.
Yes, it is. No.
That's another story.
All right. We're going to say goodnight. We're a little squirrely. It's time to go, clearly. So thanks for hanging in there. If you did hang in there for the whole thing, if not, that's okay too. All right. We love you guys. We'll try to be back sooner than a month, but it looks like a month has just now become our regular. So it is what it is.
This is summertime. No promises. I'm going to guess mid-August.
Okay.
And we'll try to beat that expectation.
Okay. Good luck. All right.
Have fun.
Bye for now.
Bye.